Hey everyone, and welcome to the Beyond Life and Fitness podcast. I'm Cheryl Patton.
And I'm Meaghan Prince.
We started this podcast as a way to connect with more people who are struggling to fit it all in. The workouts, the food, kids, work, and relationships.
We know that we're not perfect, but we hope that through our struggles and our mistakes and our failures and our successes that we can help more people through their challenges and be successful. So if you want some tips and tricks to help you along your journey to be the best version of yourself, then this is it.
All right, so episode number 10, we are now in the double digits. This is very exciting. But today we are going to talk about why you're not getting leaner and dropping body fat. A very common problem that people have, and then once it happens, they don't know what's going on, what could be the problem, what could be the cause. So I've got about 6 ideas, and I know you've got a bunch as well. So I'll kick it off. So one thing, which we were just sort of talking about, is skipping breakfast or having less than 2 meals a day. And then you have to sort of think about, well, I do intermittent fasting. So how does that sort of play in with that whole skipping breakfast? And I don't think it's a matter of, if you eat breakfast at 7, 8, or 9 o'clock and you have your first meal a day either at noon or at 1, it's just a matter of getting in enough calories throughout the whole 24-hour cycle. Would you agree?
I think that's how intermittent fasting goes. I don't know if that's something that I totally agree with, only because I guess it depends from in the morning when you wake up until that lunch at 1 at 12 or 1. What are you doing during those hours? Because I think that's so key to know, if you're waking up and you're running and you're going to the gym and you're lifting weights and then heading to work or whatever, in that time of not eating, I feel like that's not a time that you should be trying to do those things. I know people that do intermittent fasting and they work out in the morning, but then here's the problem is that your body will eat some of it, will use some of its lean muscle mass to get its energy from. And you're not going to have a lot of energy because your muscles first want carbohydrates as their source, right? As glucose. This is what we want. And so I think it depends on what are we doing during that time of fasting? If you're resting, because at rest, your body uses fat as fuel. So if you're resting, that's totally fine. So I think for those people, I think it's more, do that if that's what works for you, but also save your training stuff until maybe later on, your heavier stuff till later on. But I think breakfast, we were just talking about how you don't eat breakfast, and I'm 45 minutes and I'm starving. If I go past that 45 minutes, I'm oh my gosh, I'm going to eat my arm off. I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning when I was competing, and I would be so hungry. I'd have to have a quarter of a protein shake or BCAAs or something middle of the night because I would be so hungry. So I think people realize also once you start eating breakfast, once you start putting that in, that when you wake up in the morning, you are hungry. So I think once you start, we talked about, adding that protein shake in when you first wake up, now your body's going to be starting to crave that when you wake up in the morning and want it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do know that will happen. And I think too, sort of going back to what you said with people who are doing the intermittent fasting but prefer to work out in the mornings, they work out, come home, shower, get ready for work, and then just keep going on with their day without having anything to eat. Yes, they are definitely missing that window of opportunity post-workout to replenish those stores so that your muscles can repair and grow.
Because if you're just leaving, you want to flush all of that into your muscles to repair it after. So if you're training on an empty stomach, that's okay, but adding stuff like branched chain amino acids so that your body isn't using its lean muscle mass as fuel is super key. And I'm not sure the data that goes with having BCAAs and intermittent fasting, because I think
sure.
some people say that it doesn't break a fast and other people say that it does. Some people say that coffee doesn't break the fast, like black coffee, and some people, so I guess it's all kind of on your preference. But yeah, definitely one of the reasons people aren't losing weight for sure is they're not eating breakfast. So even if you wake up and you feel like you aren't hungry, just have like something super small, like half a banana or even like half a glass of orange juice, and you can add some collagen in it or something.
Yeah.
So just something
and
like
that's where
minor.
the liquid breakfasts come in too, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes people will find it easier to drink a shake or a smoothie, right, and kind of nurse it, whether they're drinking it on the way to work or they have it as soon as they get to the office or their home office or whatever the case might be, and then it doesn't feel like, because they're not physically chewing something. So yeah, I've had some clients, they're just like, I just can't eat, and I'm like, well, can you drink?
Can you
Yeah.
have a shake? And
Yeah.
like, you know, I do isogenic shakes, and those things for my breakfast are like the most amazing things in the world, because it's a
Yeah.
whole meal.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, I'm getting all this nutrition into my body right when I wake up, and it's super easy. It's not like I have to cook something with
Yeah.
the kids and like run around, and I can drink it on the road.
Yeah,
So
100%.
for sure, I think number one if people aren't losing weight is that they're not eating breakfast.
Yeah. And then another one that ties into an episode that we did back in our episode number 7 was people not getting enough protein. So low protein intake, not hitting that 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or per pound of your ideal weight that you're trying to hit, right? So some people may say like, well, geez, that's like 180 grams of protein compared to and I'm like, okay, well, so how much weight are you wanting to lose? And let's aim the protein to that goal that you have in place. So again, I know episode number 7, we talked about how to eat more protein, how to get more protein in. So you can always go back and listen to that one if you want some ideas. But yeah, low protein intake is also another reason, because if that's low, then what's high? Right?
And usually when I was just doing that 6-week program with my friend, her fats are so high. She's like, oh my God, my fats are so high.
That's like me. I'm a fat lover.
Right? And it's like, you don't realize it. And protein, actually, there's been studies done that where people will have protein, or they'll have a carbohydrate and like a fruit or something, and they'll have protein, and then they'll see how far it takes them until they feel hungry again. And protein, like we know, will like make you not hungry for longer. It takes
you longer.
Yes, that's the word. Thank you. And it'll help so that you're not hungry in a couple hours. It takes a long time to digest, right? Especially if you're having like beef or steak or something, then you're like full for a long time. So protein will actually make you feel fuller for longer. So protein for sure is like a huge one.
Protein is definitely huge. Another one is taking fat burners. Right? So a lot of people see these fat burners as like, okay, it's a quick fix. It's gonna make me not feel hungry. It's gonna rev up my metabolism. But the problem is that it's all being done artificially, and it's not solving any of the underlying issues that could be holding you back from that weight loss.
Right.
Like, is there something in your nutrition that's not right? And so you're compensating with a fat burner supplement, or are you not drinking enough water? Where's the pit? And
I think, like, when we talk about cortisol and stress levels too, like for somebody who's already like high stress level, and then you put a fat burner in, which obviously increases your blood pressure, increases your heart rate, then that's obviously putting your body under more stress already, which will release more cortisol, which will help you store more fat. And then it's like, am I going to be on these fat burners for my whole life? Because it's like something like doing keto. If you're going to do keto your whole life, okay, that's awesome. But eventually you're going to have to start eating, you'll eat carbohydrates again, and then you're going to gain weight. So it's like, are you going to be on these fat burners forever? Because you'll never, if you're doing something that's not sustainable, then you're not going to continue it forever. So if you go to the health food store and you find something awesome, or you find this crazy diet, think to yourself, is this something that I can do for the next 10 years?
Yeah.
If it's not something that you're going to take daily, every single day for the next 10 years, then don't buy it, because it's a quick fix. It's the Netflix. Let's check to the next show and go as fast as we possibly can. And yeah, so fat burners for sure would be not only stress out your body, but also you can't continue to take those. So when you stop taking them, just like when people smoke cigarettes, they're super thin, or they can maintain their weight.
Yes.
But as soon as they stop smoking, then they gain the weight. Are you going to...
Yeah, exactly. They're used to that hand-to-mouth action. So they're replacing the cigarette with usually food or some sort of a high-caloric drink or something to compensate. But
I think nicotine does have a...
Oh, it has an appetite suppressant.
Yeah, so that people aren't eating, and they also stay, sort of they can maintain their weight. I know all those smokers that can maintain their weight, and then as soon as they stop, they'll have a cigarette to either curb cravings, suppress their appetite, which is what fat burners are also designed to do. They're designed to not make you feel hungry, so then you don't want to eat. Yeah. So if you have to do a fat burner, then you're clearly not doing something right in your nutrition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then kind of going back to what you were saying in terms of the cortisol and stuff. So failure to value the super importance of having rest and sleep.
Yeah.
So, right, and that kind of goes back to your sleep hygiene. What is it? Like, what is your nighttime routine that allows you to wind down and allow the body to naturally start getting ready to go to sleep? And I know we've touched base on this in other episodes in terms of, making sure that you get off of your screens, try not to have your phone in your room if possible, having a super dark room, having it cooler as well makes it easier to sleep. So different things like that. Because when our sleep is off and when we're not sleeping well, it has been shown to decrease our leptin, which is a hormone appetite suppressant that's naturally secreted or produced by the fat cells. But it also increases the ghrelin hormone, which is released in the stomach, which naturally stimulates hunger. So when you're sleep deprived, what normally happens? People are craving those sugary, salty, carbohydrate foods because the body, your hormones are just these leptin, ghrelin hormones are out of whack because you haven't had enough sleep.
Oh yeah, and I have those days where I'm like, oh my God, like when I haven't slept, I'm so hungry today. Like I literally I'm pretty good. I follow my macros every day. I'm like pretty on course most of the time, but on those days where I get really tired and really overwhelmed, I am like so hungry, like starving. Like I eat my meal and then I'm like, when can I eat again? But it's the same amount of calories that I've eaten on other days. But it's for sure, it's when you haven't had enough sleep and you're just like, your body is like looking for something, and it is sleep. It's like I need sleep, but our body is saying like, I'm hungry right now, I'm starving right now. But if you could just probably lay down and go to sleep, your hunger would go away. But
have a nap.
Have a nap
just have
or
a nap.
Something.
And it's the same thing when people confuse thirst for hunger. Right? A lot of people are walking dehydrated people, and having 1 liter of water a day, in conjunction with coffee. If you're a heavy coffee drinker, that's a diuretic. So you're just making yourself even that much more dehydrated,
which makes you hungry.
Right? Makes you hungry, yeah. And caffeine is a stimulant. So again, and that can also help trigger some hunger as well, right? As soon as that kind of gets out of your system, your body's like, okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
simple, but it all is the little simple things that we always try to like overlook, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, and then the last thing I had on my list was doing the same exercise program repeatedly. That's not giving you any results, which is basically the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So if you're doing a particular training program, whether it's something you create on your own or you've got a coach and you're no longer seeing any more changes or improvement, then something needs to change, right? So change up how you're training. Maybe you need to do a bit more cardio and a little bit less strength. Maybe you need to incorporate some HIIT training with your strength. Like the combinations are endless. Maybe you just need to get out for more daily walks,
right?
Some fresh air and sunshine. So not being stuck in that, this is what I've been doing for like the last 10 years. This is what I've got to keep doing. Yeah.
Okay, so you did like a whole 6. I think I have like a couple to add. So I think my one would be, because I'm this macro counter, right?
You are.
I love macros. I love everything to do with macros. I love, like today, me and my daughter were in the kitchen and we were making this peanut sauce for stir fry. And she's like, okay, Mom, let me ask you, how many fats is in a tablespoon of peanut butter? I'm like 7. How much protein? 4. How many calories? 90. And she's like, how do you know this? I'm like, I don't know. I just know. Like I could guess labels off the top of my head. If you ask me how much 4 ounces of chicken is, it's 126 calories. I just know these things. Like I don't know. I love macros. I love counting them. So I think under eating is a huge one, why people aren't losing weight. And I know we talked about the breakfast thing, but under eating is a huge one because you're slowing your metabolism down. You're not firing that up during the day. So your body will go into like this, oh my God, I'm starving, and I'm going to store everything that you're eating as fat because
who knows
I'm starving.
When I'm going to eat again?
Who knows when you're going to feed me again? So if you consistently are feeding your body enough fuel, then your body can like relax and be like, oh my God, okay, don't worry, she's gonna feed us, don't worry, like we can release some of this energy and we don't have to store it all. So yeah, under eating I think is a big one. And then a huge one when it comes to macros is that people are not calculating their macros properly. So they will have like a bite of cheese while they're cooking dinner, and then they'll have like a little bite of an apple, and then they'll have like pecans and shredded wheat sometimes, where they're just having a pecan, having a piece of shredded wheat, but like where you don't realize you just ate 300 calories while you're just standing there talking to somebody. Or at family gatherings, I'll see like some of my family or extended family, and they'll just sit down and they grab like 3 Oreos and they just sit on the couch and they grab 3 Oreos. I'm like, dude, like honestly, I don't even know the macro count on Oreos because I don't really
because you probably never buy them.
Well, we don't really buy them, and when I do buy them, they just eat them super fast. But yeah, so I don't know the macro count on Oreos, but say it's like, I don't know, 50 calories an Oreo or something. You could totally look up Oreos. But eating 3 Oreos and say you're at like, let's say, I'm going to say for 3 Oreos, we're at like 126 calories. But I'll be like probably so off. I'm not sure. We'll see. So I think that macro counting is that when people are looking at things like fats as well, I did a video like a really long time ago on measuring fats in peanut butter and how people are like, okay, on your macro plan, it says a tablespoon of peanut butter.
Yes.
But a tablespoon means under the line of the tablespoon, not heaping over, like whatever I can fit into the tablespoon is a tablespoon. Yeah. Whereas like you have to, if you're weighing it and trying to be really accurate, then you're talking about 15 grams of peanut butter, which means 90 calories. But if you scoop it way over and then you lick the spoon also, then you could be 25 calories and you're already like almost 75 calories over just on a tablespoon of peanut butter. Yeah. Right? Or your 12 nuts and then you just grab a handful, then you get 25 nuts. So I think another reason people aren't losing weight is because they're totally underestimating how much they're eating. When you give them a macro plan, because there's bites, there's licks, there's tastes, there's, I'm just going to have a little bit of this, and those things add up.
Well, they totally add up. And
they like add up like crazy.
Of that. Yeah.
And I did a thing on my Instagram today about that and how we self-sabotage ourselves. So when people, and this doesn't really super have anything to do with what we're talking about, but that when the opinions of other people come into our heads of what we should be and who we're supposed to be and what society thinks that we should be, and then in our heads we're like, oh my gosh, well if I get super lean like that, then this person might not like me, or this person's going to judge me, or maybe I don't deserve to be that lean. And I was saying how in my photo shoot for my 40th birthday, because I had competed for so many years, that I felt in that photo shoot, yeah, I think I could have been leaner, but only because there was times where I didn't think, like, I kind of self-sabotaged myself. I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to eat that other little scoop of peanut butter, or that won't matter, right? And then, but it does add up over time. So all those little tiny things that you're just like, I'll just add those in. So I think for sure under eating would be a big one why people aren't, and they're also not tracking exactly how many calories that they're eating. And then they're like, I'm not losing weight. And they're like, because you're not really, you're not where you should.
You don't know exactly where you are, and if you don't know exactly where you are, then you don't know how to change the road that you're on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I find the people that don't want to count macros as much, or are like, no, I'm never going to do that, it's too hard, or I don't like that, it's because they don't actually want to see how much they're eating.
Yeah.
Like, they don't actually want to be
lazy.
Or they don't actually, or some people are totally lazy and they're like, whatever, but some people don't want to see, because then they have to be accountable for, and I think last week or something, I had eaten like a little bit of, I don't even remember what it was, I'm not sure. And so I put in my macro calculator, I'm like, oh crap, I'm over for fats, I should just take that out for the day. And Livy's like, you can't just take it out because you've already eaten it, Mom. So that's like screwing yourself. And I was like, yeah, like, you're so right, kid. Like, I could sit there and my macro calculator says I hit all those macros, but I know that I had like another tablespoon of peanut butter. Right. So I'm like, you're totally over. So you're just screwing yourself if you aren't actually like tracking and say you have that tablespoon of chocolate chips when you're baking with your kids. Put it in your macro calculator. Yes. Will you have to take other stuff out? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But people underestimate, because there's a lot of people that have said to me, I'm not losing weight, I don't know why I'm following this plan. But if we actually write it out and sit down and count the whole day, honestly, that's the thing, is honestly, and just be honest.
They're just numbers. They're not going to hurt you.
Who cares? It's like, be vulnerable. Let's talk about all the stuff that's really hard. It's really hard to count macros. It's really hard to be hungry because you are in a deficit. Those things are hard, but if we're vulnerable about it and if we talk about it, then we can actually get to the root of this is what is going on.
Because you do need to be in a slight deficit. Not a massive, slight calorie deficit in order to keep that ball rolling down the hill.
Right.
In order to get to where it is you want to go.
Right, for sure. So okay, let's go back to the Oreos.
You want to go back to the Oreos? So Oreos, serving size is 3 cookies, so it's 160 calories.
See, I said 126, so I wasn't that off.
No,
I wasn't
7 grams of total fat.
Okay, which is not terrible.
25 grams of total carbohydrates.
Which is how much is sugar? 14. Okay.
Yeah. So half of that is sugar. Mm-hmm. Half of that is sugar. And 1 whopping gram of protein.
Oh, yeah, there you go. 1 gram of protein. I saw
1 gram of protein and 1 gram of fiber.
I saw a thing posted today about how to get more protein, and one of them was like 7 tablespoons of peanut butter. And I thought,
holy smokes.
But that is like the worst way to obviously try to get your protein, because I wouldn't say that peanut butter it has any, like, you would even use that as a protein source at all. It has 4 grams for a tablespoon, so it's not like
I would agree.
Anything. Yeah. So I think those are like the main ones, and I would also say weight training over cardio. So those cardio bunnies that are always doing cardio, always running, always that kind of stuff. Weight training is going to help you build lean muscle mass, which is going to help you burn calories at rest. Yeah. And that's what we want to do. When we're sitting around and we're not doing anything, we want to be able to burn calories. Yeah. So people that are doing too much cardio and not doing weightlifting or focusing on strength training, doesn't even have to be weightlifting, bodybuilding, just strength training
in general. Yeah, because when you're doing your cardio, it elevates your heart rate for that time that you're doing your cardio. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you're done, it drops right back down. Yeah, yeah. There's no
after benefit.
There's no afterburn, that post epoch. So that post exercise oxygen consumption. Oh my gosh, you're hilarious. Yeah.
We just have my daughter walking in here with a blow-up swan for the beach. This is what we're doing. Yeah, but I think those are like the main reasons that I would say people aren't losing weight.
Yeah, so get your food in the morning, making sure you're definitely eating more than 2 meals a day. Get your sleep in, good quality sleep in, so that you can control your stress, your cortisol. If you've been doing the same workout for years and years and years.
Yeah, change it up.
Change that sucker up. Stay away from those fat burners. Get the strength training in.
Yeah, really count your macros, journal it, and what was my other one? And yeah, make sure that you're eating enough.
Yeah, eating enough.
Eating enough. And those are like, I think, the main reasons why people aren't losing weight. And if you look at all of those things, and again, like a last one, just resort, is make sure that you're testing your thyroid levels, because that's what determines our metabolism and how things work.
Especially if you've got a family history.
Yeah.
If there's a family history in there, then that could be definitely a possible reason. Sure.
So test those for sure, and make sure that you have like all that stuff under your belt. But then all these little tiny things, they're silly. They're like, oh my gosh, nitpicky. But those are the nitpicky things that are actually going to make a change, right? Exactly. It's not those big, huge weight loss diets that
and just even if you just focus one at a time, you don't have to do all of them at once. Just pick one or two. Yeah.
Sleep more, lower your cortisol level, lower your storage of fat. There you go. Just one little tiny thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love it. Thanks everybody for listening today, and we truly appreciate you. And let us know what your biggest takeaway was today, and if you have any questions you want answered on the podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast to automatically receive your episodes and to help us reach more listeners. We would love to connect with you on our socials, either Facebook or Instagram, with links in the show notes. Till next time, keep taking those small steps towards your best life.